Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. My name is Garen, if you don't know me. And where did my browser go to all of a sudden? There it is. That's better. So I'll get Kelly to make a comment there, and then I'll be able to actually see the chat where it's supposed to be sitting. And today we have a really good one. We're going to be talking about communing with the dead. Good afternoon, Jackie. Nice to see you. And Jennifer's here as well. Hi, Jennifer. And as I said, we're going to talk about communing with the dead. And this came up from a comment from one of our group members, Karen, that appeared on our last video. And I'm not sure about the pronunciation of her last name, so I'm just going to leave it at Karen. And she had said that her dad was recently deceased and she wanted to know whether she could communicate with him. So I think this is going to be, we're still alive here. Oh yeah, that's right. Kelly just reminded me. For those of you who didn't know it, the Earth was supposed to end tomorrow, or yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. The Earth was supposed to end. Apparently Nibiru, this phantom planet, was going to crash into the Earth, and we were all gonna, well, we're still here. Safe for another day. Yeah, this is, thank you, Jennifer. This is a fantastic topic, actually, and the credit goes to Karen today. So, Karen, thank you for this wonderful topic, because, we've been extremely busy outside with our spring startup and repairing all the damage and doing so many things, and my head was, quite frankly, off in space somewhere when it came to what I was going to be talking about today. And luckily, Karen had commented last night, and I thought, great subject. So, here we go. Don't stare too long at the little circle. It may take you there. You never know. So, death. And we've talked about death a number of times, and our movies, our TV experiences, all the scary, dark phenomena that is part of our collective psyche, okay, part of that collective ego, all our fears, all our imagination, and this is one of the beautiful things about this planet and the species on it. Throughout the vastness of our galaxy alone, there are tens upon tens of thousands of intelligent species, but not all of them have the length and breadth and width that our imagination does. We here as human beings in this experience can manifest a range of emotions and creativity and literally run the entire spectrum of states of being. And that is a wondrous gift we have. And part of the gift is the gift of death. The gift of dying. And we're going to talk about death for a few minutes first. And I hope it is awesome, Jackie. I will try my best to live up to that. Death indeed is a gift. And there's a number of ways we can look at this, okay? But the first and obvious one is time. I mean, right now, we may lament the idea, I'm approaching 60 in a couple years, and we may lament the idea that, maybe I've got 10 years, 20, 30, maybe 40 years left. Who knows? Wouldn't it be nice to live forever? Wouldn't it be nice to live for hundreds of years? It seems to be that way. It really seems to be that way on the surface. But when you think about that deeply, the last thing you would want to do is stay with the same old you, stay with the same old body, the same old existence for that long. You're much more lively than that. You're much more fun than that. And the existences aren't meant to last any longer than they need to. They're really not. So the first thing we're going to dispel about death is the idea that someone can die at the wrong time. That it's possible to be taken before their time. Or even possible that somehow God loses the battle and Satan took them. They were attacked. Load of crap. In the perfection of the sea of consciousness, every depth is meaningful. Every depth has perfect timing. Every death is literally graduation. All the things that you came here to do, all the things that, in this case, Karen's father came here to do, were complete. And as she said in her comments, he was an example to everyone around him, and that is what we can offer in every minute of every day, while we are alive and as we are dying and into death itself. No death is without meaning. No death should not have occurred. And your entire being understands this, and close to death there is a calmness, there is a stillness. And science has it wrong, and I was talking about this with Kelly last night, because she was talking about, while we think near-death experiences come out of this part of the neural pathway in the brain, they've got it reversed. The near-death experience, consciousness, spirituality, the spiritual realm is the causative function of what is manifest in the physical brain, not the other way around. So do not ever doubt yourself that those near-death experiences and those experiences and words of others who have seen and gone past the veil are not true, are not real, are not valuable, because they are. They are real, they are true, and they are valuable. And as you can see by the myriad of journeys that we take across, your own journey across into the other realm will be exactly what you need. It will contain the people that you need. It will contain the form and the circumstance that you need. So when you step across in the other side, you are going to be surrounded in love. And the hardest thing to accept in death is the idea that the person who's died, we can often have a really bad opinion about that person. We can think, well, that person actually was quite the bastard for their entire life. I don't remember them helping anybody. And we can have these opinions, but we, in our limited consciousness, do not see that vast, ever-changing, ever-flowing perfection, that web of causality, of synchronicity, where every single thing is made perfect. We don't know the choices that were made, that person who we think is so bad in so many ways, well, how he behaved motivated certain people. He had the right words where no one else would put out those words, because he didn't care what anyone else thought. This is just the tiniest example of the infinite beauty of the web of creation that we live in. You literally cannot mess this up. Karen's father died at the perfect time, in the perfect way. And she is blessed in the knowing of it. Who has gone? I want you to really think about this for a second. Who has died? We have this idea that because the person is out of sight, that they are gone. And yet I would ask the question that if that person were to say, well, I'm going on a 3-day trip to Mexico, how do we feel about them? We don't feel like they've gone anywhere. And you could sit here and you could say, well, that's because we know they're coming back. But they are coming back. It doesn't matter whether it's a trip to Mexico or a trip across the veil. We're all coming back. We're all going to reincarnate. We're all going to live other lives. We're all going to experience again and again and again. Who leaves? The only thing that leaves is our visual perception of the body. Yeah, it can sound, Jackie, and my dad was sexually abusive to me and my sister, and I can't say that he was a good man either. But I'll tell you what was good about my dad's life is he equipped me through his behavior with a ton of really important tools that ended up serving me greatly. And I know where your heart is on this, Jackie, and you don't have to see him again. But I would ask you to consider why you chose your parents, what gifts they have given you, what strengths. Even through all this adversity, do you see that they helped impart onto you, that you took into adulthood, that allows you to be more than you thought you were? It's very easy for us to get tied up in this, and this is a little off topic, but we will do another video on this, on why we choose our parents and how we make the choices. And Jackie, I am not belittling or trying to minimize what has occurred to you. As I said, I went through the similar sort of things with my father. Skipping rope beatings to the point where I had wounds on my back. Coming in late one day and having a coffee cup smash into the wall beside my head, and it was aimed for my forehead. Luckily it missed. And I used to hate my father too, but in that I came to understand that there are gifts that he imparted on me through his behavior. There are strengths. There are choices made based on what he did that I saw and said, never in myself will I allow that. And we will talk about that more. Oh, excellent. Sue made it. Nice to see you, Sue. Oh, thank you, Jackie. I'm glad you understand. Yeah, I certainly do not want to offend. That's for sure. So, who has gone? What happens is because the person is out of sight, we think that person is literally gone. And I would really ask you to look closely. You see, everything that someone is cannot possibly be located or localized into any one space. We may think that way and we may feel that way on the surface of things, but when we look deeper, we understand that another person has a field about them, a vibratory field, and when we step into their space, we resonate with certain things. That vibratory field spans all of space and time, all of creation. And as I said, if the person was in Mexico, long term, as opposed to transitioning, as opposed to croaking, dying, passing over, we feel different about it. And the reason we feel different about it is because there's some sort of knowledge that they're coming back. And what we need to internalize is indeed they are coming back and that everything that they are is still here. And what we're missing is the sight of them, the presence of them. It is that which we have cut ourselves off from because it still exists. And we're going to talk about ways that you can directly experience this communion with someone you think is out of reach. Because believe it or not, they are closer to you now. In death, those who you love are closer to you than you have ever been with them. Not farther away, not out of reach. They are there as a constant source of love and compassion and wisdom and guidance, and they're available to you right now. And it all starts with the state of your mind. You see, of course, we've been trained that once someone's died, they're gone, one way or the other. Excuse me for a moment. They are either, depending on your belief systems, in a place called heaven or a place called hell, or in some afterlife dimensional space, enjoying a relaxing break, perhaps already reincarnated and back on Earth somewhere. But either way, we're made to believe that that person is somehow now separated from us, that we no longer have access to them, that access is cut off, and nothing could be further from the truth. And the reason I'm trying to be a little emphatic with this is it all starts with what you are willing to accept. And you cannot fool yourself nor the universe, okay? The sea of creation, Enigma says the eyes of truth are always watching you. And I would say that no truer statement could be spoken. If you harbor doubt, if you harbor disbelief that it is not capable to communicate with somebody who has passed to the other side, to not feel their presence genuinely, fully, in a way even more fully than you did when they were alive, if you cannot suspend your belief, you will not have that experience. And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up if you don't. It really takes a little bit of practice. And the reason I say practice is what the practice does is the practice allows you to become more and more open with yourself and more accepting. And there's a few really unique ways I have to get there, and we're going to talk about those. Again, as I was just speaking about, it all starts out in acceptance. And as Sue says, accepting the unacceptable. Accept that which you in the past or through conditioning or training or learning or even your own direct experience, you may think things are unacceptable or impossible. And I would say suspend all belief. In that empty space without thought, there is a sea of consciousness that contains the sum total of all things. There is no thing, no event that cannot manifest out of that space of silence. So first we need to accept that not only is the other person very much available to us, we have to understand that that which they are has not left, has not gone anywhere. It is part and parcel and exists within the totality of all that is. And in the moment that you think upon that individual, that energy is 100% present. Not near you, but literally all around you and through you. They are literally engulfing you in their love in the moment that you think upon them. How do you feel that love? That's coming up on the third panel, so you're going to have to wait a little bit. Part of this, again, is the mind state, the state of mind in which we find ourselves in. If we are still locked in grief, if we are still lost in the grieving process, if we have not woken enough to understand that the being that they are transcends time and space, if you keep focusing on that which lies in the graveyard or on the little urn on the counter, you're going to miss out, and you're not really accepting what's happened. Acceptance comes on all levels. We have to accept that they have died in exactly the right way, in exactly the right circumstances, in the right time frame, in order to teach, to learn, to pass on a gift. And sometimes we don't get that gift while they're alive. There's lots of opportunity to get it directly from them after the fact. Again, with disbelief, and we'll always come back to this, suspend your disbelief. If you cannot believe wholly and fully, take a I'll wait and see mentality, an open I'll wait and see mentality. And we're going to start with small steps. Now, I'm going to bring up 4 different methods here, which I have used quite effectively. And I'll tell you about communing with the dead. I used to, when I was single, I used to love to go to graveyards at night. And I would sneak in, get over the fence, walk around in the cemetery until I felt that I was in a space in the cemetery where, for whatever reason, there was definitely a presence still kind of hanging around there a little bit. And I would lean up against a headstone and I would start to talk. And I would wait and I would listen. And anytime we're starting these sort of things, we have to start small. Everything begins with tiny, tiny, tiny little things. All of creation is like that. Right? Our finest particles that we're aware of, the quarks, and various other particles and subatomic particles, of which there's over 200 of them, are infinitesimally small and literally flicker in and out of reality. Everything starts so tiny. So we're going to start tiny. So step 1. What I want you to do is find some time, and this is something you want to repeat daily until communication begins to flow. And keep in mind, the communication is always there. It's you that has to kind of get out of the way. It's you that has to tune yourself to the right radio frequency. And the best way to begin is to start with a few minutes of honest meditation. I like to start in silence in a darkened room. Maybe not pitch black, but nice and dark. And I will sit in silence, and I will meditate for a few minutes. You'll breathe in and breathe out. Watch your breath. Come to a still place. Non-verbally set the intention with yourself that you wish to communicate directly with my Father, for example. And allow yourself then to stay open without expectation. And see what naturally arises. Don't put any thought on it yet. Because, of course, everything that comes to us is subject to interpretation, and this is where problems can come in. And the more open you can be, the more honest you can be with yourself, the more you can suspend your disbelief, the more open you're going to be to that returning communication. So again, we meditate for a period of time, and then we open ourselves and we vocalize a verbal or nonverbal intent that we wish to feel wrapped in the presence of this person, and we wish to have communication with them. Now, some of the things that you may experience may be scents. Oftentimes a scent that's associated with that person will be. And I would say, do not get lost in this. Do not get lost in that feeling. But instead, again, stay focused and just allow it to happen. After you've meditated, even if nothing has occurred in your conscious mind, don't worry about it. Intend with yourself that for the rest of the day, you're going to be aware and look for signs of the person whom you wish to communicate, revealing themselves to you during the day. And it may be a particular bird. I mean, the signs are limitless. You will know if you're watching. You will know when that particular event happens, Why? Because that person will come into your mind immediately, and you'll realize that they're communicating with you. Is there a need to, this is what I would say, verbalize out loud, have a conversation with them as if they're really there, because they are. Don't doubt it. You don't have to, there's no particular way to talk to them, okay? The way to talk to them is to allow yourself to talk to them. The first method is what I call the explosive method. And in this method, what we're actually doing is we're going to blow our consciousness outside of our bodies. And it only happens for a few brief moments at a time, but if you work on it, you can actually get that explosive expansion. The balloon will kind of stay larger for a little while before it quickly collapses back into your being again. And the way to do this, and this is a fantastic method for communicating, again, directly with our loved ones. Wake up a full 1 hour before you normally would. Set an alarm clock. So if you get up at 5 o'clock, set the alarm clock for 3:45. And what you want to do is you want to get up and you want to, maybe use the facilities, have a light little drink of water, and then get back into bed. And you want to lay on your back. And what you want to do is you want to clear your mind and you want to concentrate on that spot in the center of your eyebrows, your third eye. And as you're teetering between falling back asleep and awake, your consciousness is unhinged from your being. It's much easier to actually pop it out. And what you're looking for is a particular resonance that'll begin, and it'll begin up in your head, and that resonance, it'll feel like almost little waves. They'll begin to resonate throughout your entire body. And when that resonance is felt throughout your entire body, you can literally imagine gathering all of your being into a white glowing ball right in the center of your third eye. And then when you feel those waves of resonance are at their highest peak, the only way you can describe it is to explode yourself. And that's what you'll do. You'll consciously imagine that glowing ball of light literally blowing up into a whole new creation. And with it, with a little practice, your actual being will pop out. You'll be unhinged from the body state alone. In this state, we can have real direct astral form to astral form communication. It is not really a form of astral travel because you are not leaving the body and you're not leaving the room. What you're doing is you are shifting your attention from the physical realm to the astral realm. And in that realm, you can have direct and real conversation with the person that you that has passed and that you wish to communicate with. The second method, and this method works very well as well, is called the whole body meditation. And what you want to do is you want to literally envision through meditative technique, get into a nice meditative state, relax, give yourself about 20 minutes, envision them in every detail there beside you, either standing beside you or sitting or lying down beside you, whatever the case may be. And envision them in every detail. What you want to do is you want to literally recreate them in your head in perfect detail. And then envision them speaking to you and move yourself out of the way. And again, this is practice. You know, people would like to think that things happen overnight. And yeah, sometimes they do. It's very true. There have been times where, I'll give you the example. When Sathya Sai Baba died, I had stayed in his ashrams on a number of different occasions, done quite a bit of work for his charity company that he set up, digging wells and irrigation ditches throughout parts of India where water was scarce. And, he was responsible for enriching and saving the lives of about 40 million villagers altogether. And I was blessed to be part of that. And when he died, I found out he was dead on Sunday morning. But Saturday night, in my dreams, he came to me in my dreams, and we were sitting at a table together, and we were having this great conversation, and we were laughing together. And then he got a little more serious, and he looked at me, and he says, "I have to go." And I woke up with this sense of loss, and I brushed it off. I didn't really pay it any attention. I just chalked it up to an interesting dream. And about 2 hours later, I heard on the news that he had died during the night. And sometimes that communication will be that fast. They can literally just die, and they'll be in your head or in your dream. We get so caught up, though, egoically in this idea of everything right now that we will turn to various other forms to somehow get answers from them. To hear what we want to hear, to make us feel okay. And yes, you can go to mediums, you can go to psychics, and I'm not saying don't use them, but I'm saying be careful. Make sure you trust the individual. Myself, I've always preferred the slow, plodding route, because once you master it, you own it forever. It's yours. And every one of you can master this. There is not a single person on this planet that is not capable of communicating with a loved one who's died. It's whether or not we'll allow it. The whole body experience, you build the person in your mind completely, and then you speak to them, and you allow them to speak back to you. And you will have very real conversations with them. Very real advice, very real wisdom can come through. One of the reasons why we want to commune with the dead often is we feel there's things left incomplete. And, if there's one thing that I want to bring up, which I hope will bring a lot of peace to people, is this: there is not a thought that you can have about someone who's died that they are not instantly aware of. We are forever connected with the characters in our lives. They are not random. Even if they come into our field of awareness for moments, a day, a week, a month, a year. Some will stay for decades, some will stay for minutes, some will stay for hours, some will stay for years. Some will never leave. But we are forever connected energetically with these people. We carry the imprints of their being upon ourselves, and they carry the imprints of us. Think of it as GPS locators. Throughout time and space, as big as this universe is in its ever expanding size, in the moment that you think about somebody, all that they are is present with you right now. All that they truly were is right here and 100% available to you. Don't get caught up in thinking that you're going to get a lot of answers about what things are like on the other side, okay? And the reason being is no one likes someone who spoils the surprise too much. Each experience is going to be individual. Your experience in this life, though, allows you the ability to speak to those who have passed over. And you don't need to see them. You don't even need to believe it if you just need to talk. If you just need to talk to them, if you just need to set things straight, if you need to somehow free yourself of something you're feeling or you're holding on to, meditate. Find a quiet space. Show yourself and what's going on between you and that person who's died both the respect to give yourself time to quiet your mind. And then speak what it is. Speak from your heart. Speak the truth. And that person will respond to you. You will know. You will feel it. And when you do feel it, I'll tell you why you'll know they have contacted you. Is that weight you've been carrying, it's going to lift and disappear. That burden you've been carrying around regarding them, regarding what wasn't said, what wasn't apologized for, what they did and never owned up to, those burdens will drop from you. And that's how you'll know. The burden of loss, the burden of separation, any of these false burdens that we pile upon ourselves will drop away as the communication with those who have died continues and grows. The greatest tool you have, of course, and as with anything, we all start with baby steps, and that is the watcher within you, to stay connected there, to remain aware. You know, I have seen my mother and father show up in other people, in circumstances, in words from strangers. And you'll know. Why? Because it'll trigger a memory. It'll trigger something. It'll be, that reminds me of my mother. And I've come to understand that in those moments, it literally is that which my mother was and still is, again, speaking through another to me. That which used to be difficult, because, you know, I understand where people come from. I hated my parents. I did. I hated my mother and the way she treated me. I hated my father and the way he treated me and my sister. I hated the fact that my father died and left us. I hated the fact that my mother hauled off and died. But in communicating with them after, in understanding that they did everything from the level of consciousness that they had, that they did the best they could, and that indeed the reasons why we were together, the reasons why our lives were intertwined, were to serve my journey and theirs. The gifts they bestowed upon me, the intelligence I received from my father, the feminine aspect of myself that I received from my mother that is intact today and grows within me, so that now I can be a balanced being, not male or female, but human and not human. You know, package aside, that which is within me, that is me, is all of those things. It's all of the things that they were, all of the things that I chose to take. You know, our parents are that initial primordial state of being. We are that original Adam or that original Eve getting tossed out of the garden by our own parents. This is a synchronicity of the way we live, and that parable, that story, is indicative of that. Our parents didn't stop loving us. The people who died don't stop loving us. They don't forget about us. They turn their attention to new things, absolutely, because they are revolving and so are we. But all that they are in the spiritual realm occupies all space and time simultaneously. And in the moment that you so much as breathe their name, all that they are surrounds you, fills you, holds you, and is there for you. Why should we commune with the dead? Communing with the dead can be a lot easier than communing with the person when they're alive. I know in the case of Kelly, she says she has much better conversations with her dad now that he's dead. You know, he was very fundamental conservative Christian. And it appears that she may actually type a comment. and he wasn't in a place to accept where Kelly is today if he was alive. But in the place that he is now, he is quite accepting of it. We are not these physical limited beings, and we get so caught up in the king of our senses, okay, our sight. And we think that when someone is out of sight, that they are out of mind, that they are gone in some way. They're not gone. They're present with us. They're influencing the way we think from all the time we had with them. And, you know, realistically, when you really look at it, what is the touch of another to us? Nobody actually really touches us. This is a funny thing about reality, okay? And I want you to look at this for a minute, because this is a serious lesson. Do you see what's in my hand? I am not touching it. You'd say, well, sure you are. You're holding on to it. No, I'm not. At a microscopic level, there is an electromagnetic repulsion going on between what I conceive as my fingertip and what I conceive as the lid and bottom of this little container that I'm holding. It is the force of the pushing away of the one surface against my finger that creates the feeling that I'm touching it. There is no touching anything in this world. False concept. You don't believe me? Look it up. You'll see for yourself. It also brings a very real point. Our concept of someone else touching us, our concept of the nearness of someone else, our concept of the sight of someone else. Sorry, I just saw Cindy's comment. Oh, cable guy here. Oh, sorry, Cindy. I hope it's Jim Carrey. If you have the cable guy, I hope it's Jim Carrey. Okay, I got lost. Where was I? Honey, what was I talking about? So, you know, this brings a very real point. This here is not touchable. I am not actually touchable. Neither are you. Now, we could say, well, wait a minute. When someone takes our fists and punches us in the side of the head, it sure feels like I've been touched, and there's a bruise there. There is a bruise there. But believe it or not, there's actually been no contact. The contact is perceived and interpreted by our minds. And yes, if you take an object if you take a magnet, okay, and ram it at high speed towards another magnet that is not moving, the other magnet may shatter from the repulsion. The same thing can happen with our jaw when we get punched. But indeed, we are not touching anything and nothing touches us. It is that electromagnetic repulsion that we feel, and that feeling is an interpretation based on an electrical signal that goes from the nerve endings that are sensing that electromagnetic repulsion. And the level of it will determine how strong those signals are. And then our mind, our egoic mind, our sense of self, we will interpret that. So you see, indeed, our entire experience of another is all within our own heads. And you should have all known that. Because we've talked about it on many levels. It is actually quite impossible for you to have an experience of someone else outside of yourself. Now, this may confuse a lot of people, and if it does, I'm really sorry. But what I would ask is you sit and you contemplate deeply what I'm saying. And you will see that it is indeed true. When I am holding Kelly at night, and we love to snuggle in bed. We do. As a matter of fact, we love to snuggle so much, it's actually hard to get out of the bed in the morning sometimes. You know, it's the cat that does it. Because she starts off with the purrs, and then she's nibbling at you, and then she's sitting on top of you, and she's like, come on, I gotta eat, and we're just snuggled together. And I love that snuggling. But I'm not actually touching Kelly. I'm not having an external experience of Kelly. The whole experience I'm having is an internal experience. And believe it or not, if you took Kelly out of the picture, I'm quite capable of holding her fully internally as an experience still. And so are you, because that's where the experience is. Yeah, cats do it here too. Oh, looks like Cindy must have killed the cable guy. What cable guy? It's okay. I'll erase all the text after, so there'll be no evidence. Sue says she does that so often as well, and this is the gift. Okay, the person that has died, it is just our perception that's in the way. That's it. You know, if you concentrate, if you take the time, you can literally generate that entire person within yourself again. You can have that conversation with them. You can let go of the things you need to let go of. You could reach out for that advice you wish, because that advice will come still from your higher being in whatever form that serves you. Because your higher being and your father's higher being are all part and parcel of the same higher being. And there is not a piece of it that is not loved, not a piece of it that is not valuable, not a piece of it that can be separated from any other piece. It is all perception, all drama, all maya, illusion. He's buried in the... Hold on, I'm just going to commune with the dead for a minute and just make sure that he's not buried in your backyard. No, he's not there, but there's a telephone guy, a milkman, and a bread delivery driver from about 30 years ago. You know anything about those three? Oh, man. So, you know, when it comes to communing with the dead, absolutely. You know, again, everything rolls back to our mind and our perceptions. Because everything is interpreted through this magnificent vessel. And this vessel is not solid material. This vessel is vibratory in nature. And we do not inhabit the vessel. We manifest the vessel within that which we truly are. Our higher selves, if you must use the word soul, and we've had great conversations on that, soul versus spirit, etc., does not exist within the body. It's not limited inside this frame. It is manifesting this coarse vibrational state out of part of itself. And it takes effort. It takes real effort. That's why you sleep. The body needs no rest. Well, I shouldn't say rest. The body needs no sleep. The body certainly needs rest, but it does not need sleep. Sleep has got nothing to do with the body, because even when you sleep, the body never stops. The body is 24/7. Was since the day you came into this world and will continue until the day that you leave it. What needs rest is the interface. Because this physical vibration can be pretty rough. And I know when we lose people in our lives, we think just that way. We think we've lost someone. We think they're gone. We think we've been left alone, abandoned, forgotten. And there are physical aspects of our lives that can change when we lose someone in our lives. I would encourage you to understand and to come to the knowing for yourself through some of these processes that I've given you and some of these practices you can do. If you keep your eyes open, if you keep the intent to have that communication and become aware of that person's vibration within your own existence, start small with little things. Ask to see a sign that they're there. And you will. Take my word for it, you really will. Those who love us and those we've come here to participate in this journey, I've said this many times, we all get together in the afterlife and have a big after movie party, right? Premiere's over. Drama's done. The actors are all turning back into themselves now. And we're all going to have a lot of laughs on it. Yeah, Dad, man, the role you played was incredible. As my father, you had me hating your guts. I don't know how you did it, because standing here, I know how much I love you. These are the sort of things that are the truth of our being. These are the things that are going to occur when death comes to us. You don't have to wait. You can go ahead and die yourself right now. You can die to the idea that you've been separate from anyone ever. You can die to the false knowledge that you're not capable of speaking with those who have passed beyond. And I know there's a lot of them out there who literally died so they could talk to you. Maybe a little better than when they did when they were alive. That's where I'm going to wrap this up for today. Much love. Namaste. Another live video coming on Thursday. And of course the Help Awaken live stream for help and advice tomorrow night, 6 p.m. All my love, all of Kelly's love. We hope this has been helpful. Please do remember to put questions up in the questions announcement. Because when you do them as comments in the posts, sometimes it's after the fact and I don't necessarily see them. That's really about it. Have a wonderful day. Take care. All our love. Bye-bye.